Hi, Kendra.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I guess we just had a little hiccup there, but it's all good because
It
we're
is
able.
all good. It is all good. We all have hiccups in life, and we have to move on, and we just have to be like, lay it on me, you know?
Yeah. So this let me preface it. This is Fam Electric Ghost, and our guest tonight is Kendra Erika. She's a top 10 Billboard artist, and we talked to her a year ago on our other platform on Spearman, but now we've moved to Anchor. And you've got a lot of new material that's out there, and we're going to talk about what you've been working on and anything you want to tell your fans about. But we're glad to have you on this platform. And we did talk to you like a year ago, but yeah, we'd like you to maybe talk about where you are now, your latest projects, and the things that you're working on.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you again for having me. That I always love talking to you because I think, you know, we share many different outlooks on the music industry and where the world is. So, but in light of that, I have a new single coming out actually through Global. Global Records is going to be releasing it very soon to like so many countries worldwide. It's just such a great opportunity and one that I'm really grateful of. And the song is called "Lay It On Me," hence why I said "Lay It On Me," just a couple minutes ago, and that song is just is a song that just talks about like to stop the victimization of our society, because our society has become so soft nowadays with like social media just becoming a breeding ground for opinions and for judgment and everything like that. um but at the same time, like, we've become so desensitized, but at the same time we've become very sensitive from it. And so I really just wanted to break that mold, if you will, of just saying, you know whatever challenge comes your way, just lay it on me. We're we can't all be victims that need coddling, because that just doesn't move us forward.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I totally understand where we are because there's a lot of things going on in the world, and there's bullying and people get into that, and there's all kinds of other things that happen on the net with people, like, harassing people or doing things out of step. But you got to take charge of yourself and not get pushed around by other people. You got to have your dreams, have what you want to do. Don't let other people detract or distract you from where you're going. So I totally get that.
Yeah, and I just really wanted to make a song like that because there's so many like really cool songs out there right now, but I feel like the messages are not as chiseled and as fine tuned as they can be to be of an inspiration to people. It's just basically it's like selfish songwriting. It's just like talking about yourself all the time, where like you could be talking about like larger topics and broader scope topics to really reach a number of people. And yes, like, if you're not trying to be a role model, if you're not trying to be anything like that, I completely understand that. But there's responsibility that comes with being a figure and being an artist and being well known in the public eye. You have that responsibility, and if you use your platform for a greater good, then I feel like everything comes back in full circle for not only for you, but just for like the overall consensus of what's going on in your life.
Yeah, I think there has been some kind of focusing in the industry and some musical genres that is totally kind of self-absorbed egotism, and
Yeah.
it's kind of pushed as being hip or cool, or that's what you should do. And yeah, there's a whole lot of power or people wanting to go that way and feeling that that's how they gain their self-confidence by being like a braggart. And I guess it's a style. If you really, maybe if you think about where it's coming from, sometimes maybe that's not really who they are and they're trying to be that. But still, people hear that, and maybe it's not the best thing for kids to hear. you know for young people to hear as the best
Right.
influence compared to like listening to a Lennon McCartney song or listening to like, old 60s songs that talk about social issues. If you think about Teddy Pendergrass, singing, about wake up everybody, where are songs like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and it was in a more socially redeeming place. So and I think like especially social media and the gram as we call it has trained everyone to be a
Yeah.
narcissist in a way. It's been training everyone to just focus like inward. And that's great, but being an artist means, and first of all, like a lot of them don't even write any of their own material.
Yeah.
So I pride myself on being a songwriter actually, and being and doing the legwork, and pulling my weight through the project. And I just appreciate like whenever I want to write a song that's reflective and looking inward or having like an introspect or whatever, I always want to make sure that I am saying it in a very poetic and universally appealing way, and something that shifts the plates, if you will, like that makes moves and creates vibrations for movements to happen and progress to happen.
So on lay it on me, I actually see it. I have up my Spotify, and I see it out there. So it's out there on Spotify right now, and
Yes, it is.
I see yeah, you have a remix also available, the Natalie Rico remix, but the original version. Maybe you could talk about like how long did it take you to like draft this song? Was it sitting around, or was it something that you had a concept and it happened quickly? Like, can you tell us a little background on developing the song?
Yeah, of course. Well, going into it, I was working with a new producer, Manny Maharis, who is now basically spearheading a lot of my progress as an artist right now. And so I was introduced to him at first, and then going into the studio with three other songwriters, and I was just like filing through the tracks that he had on in his database, and the track that is the like the foundation for Lay It On Me, that's the one that we all kind of consensually agreed to, that it just had this this really like unique and groundbreaking song or sound. And then from there, just having meaningful conversations with the team of songwriters and everything like that. That's just how the song came to be, and I kept on melodically playing around with the title Lay It On Me, Lay It On Me. And Laurel, she was one of the songwriters. She's amazing, by the way. Like, she's fantastic to work with. She was like, lay it on me, lay it on me. And she was like, how about that's your hook or your title? And I was like, huh, that's actually phenomenal. And so then we just moved forward with that. So like it was just me like innately and intuitively just putting that title out there. And then she basically like confirmed it, which was incredible. And then from then on, then we just started the whole process, and it was really funny because a lot of my ideas that I was putting forth into the session, like everyone was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a really that was a really special moment for me to have that sort of artistic validation that I do see the world from a different set of eyes, and that I am just like willfully wanting to put something more profound out there.
Yeah, so I mean, so when you were writing, you're writing with like a couple co-songwriters and other musicians in the session. So you had like the basic tracks that you used to be the basis of the song, and then did you are you primarily working on the lyrics, or did you help with the melodies and the other layering? Did you have opinions about how it went, how it was developed?
Yeah, well, I had you know, in doing several vocal passes between all of us, John, we began to piece together the most suitable ones that helped with the flow of the song, and then that's how it all just like pieced together. You know, it became sort of like this like
So did
centipede,
it happen in
if
like
you would.
multiple sessions over like a couple of weeks, or was it something that happened in a couple of days?
It was a one night session. Actually, it lasted from about like, I want to say like it was only like
Well, that's
3 hours.
interesting, because sometimes, like,
And then
songs either come together like that really quickly, or they kind of, sometimes songwriters take like months and they go on and on trying to, kind of in a tortured effort, and then sometimes it's like really clean and it just it just materializes from a collaboration pretty quick. So it sounds like this song kind of seemed to come together pretty quick.
yeah, and I think that you know, each song has its own developmental process, but the ones that come together like so quickly usually are the ones that are like meant to be, you know, because it's like this whole energy ball that's just like so intact and so fierce that and then it just gets sent down the bowling alley to knock down all these pins.
I'm always a big proponent, because I'm a musician, but I always like doing recording sessions, live musicians, when I have the opportunity to collaborate. But in some cases that you don't get to play with people live, you got like a tape or something that somebody already did, or it's on the computer and people overdub and then they go back and forth. But it sounds like in this session you were able to kind of just work it out within a couple hours, and that's interesting, because that's kind of like old school recording in the 70s. A lot of bands would just sit there in the studio and just like get it going and just feel something and then do it. And a lot of times today it's like you're not able to do that because you have like long distance collaborations.
Yeah. But I was just like really, everything was just like,
everything was like a trending, affirmation for me that I am, going down the right path with my music and everything like that. And I just hope that it and I know that it will. I'm learning to like lose the word hope and replacing it with the word no, and
well, I've seen
believe.
you over time. Like you were attending a lot of big events, and I think you've been interviewed on some pretty big shows, and it seems like you're really gaining a lot of traction in your career. Since the last time I talked to you, you're really heating up. From what I've seen on your presence out there. So it's really encouraging to see you're really making a lot of forward progress.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that a lot. And, I just want to continue the momentum. And, with that being said, I actually have a new track dropping on Friday. It's actually a remake of an old song of Laura Branigan and Self
Was
Control.
listening to it. It's like, I remember that song from back in the day. Kind of showing my age, but but yeah, I was around when it came out.
Well, age is just a number. That's what I'm learning. I just turned 25, and society makes you feel old, that you're past, that you're not pedophile,
Well, I'm in my
especially satirically tying in with the whole Me Too and all that and everything that's been going on. But I digress. But yeah, I I've always just been a really big fan of that song
Wow,
itself.
that's
And it was just amazing because actually and funny enough, and this is like perfect timing, it's crazy, but uh the American Crime Story Versace series just got an award for the best lead actor, that went to Darren Criss, who portrayed Andrew Cunanan, the narcissistical, like, beautiful serial killer. And one of the iconic scenes in that show, Laura Branigan's version of Self Control was playing. And I just remember watching that because I was working on the vocals of the track, or it was just coming together at that time. Just watching that and being like, holy shit.
So I was wondering, so like, how did you like come to like pick a Laura Branigan song like that? I mean, cause I'm in my 50s, and I remember when it came out. I was a kid watching MTV and seeing it come out. And like, what was that the moment that you got into it? Or you were already into this song from before?
Oh, I had been, with my local shows here, I had been performing that, like that. That was always like the most
Oh,
reoccurring
cover. You
song
were
that I
always
would,
covered it
put in
live.
my set. Yeah, and I always loved performing. It had such a great energy, and I was just like, I want to do a deep house version of this. Like, I would be stupid to not.
Yeah.
Like, so and then I went ahead and I made the executive decision to redo it, and with like this instinctive, this artistic instinct coming out, being like, this is like meant to be. This is like in perfect timing, and also it just had that potential, and to be to you know to be remade into something more like new age, where like our generation, or this generation,
Yeah.
can relate to it, because it does have
Yeah, well, it's
that
kind of like
essence about
a
it.
lot of the electronic music today is kind of based on some of the old new wave, new romantic kind of 80s, 90s kind of pop. If you go and look at what's going on from a technical perspective, because I'm a keyboard player, a lot of the synthesizers that were like not around anymore have all come back. Like Moog has come back to life, Prophet has come back to life. All the key instruments that were used to create these kind of sound, these kind of albums, are back. And there's a lot of musicians around the world that are using them to great effect, and they're finding that there was something about the way the songcraft that was done with these type of instruments. And I think there's a lot of songwriters like using these new synths that have been brought back to bring back this songcraft using these type of electronic tools. um, yeah, and I'm a big proponent of them, but I'm always telling, like younger musicians that if you can get a Moog and play a Moog, you'll actually create something really great. If you get like a Prophet or something, it just gives you the ability to create something without sampling. Not that sampling's not bad, and not that going and doing something in a DAW is a bad thing, but if you actually take a real instrument and try to craft something, it tends to help your songwriting come up with something that is more cohesive, in my opinion. But I'm kind of old school.
Correct. Yeah. No, I mean, mad respect to old school. I mean, you guys have basically pioneered the way for this generation.
I mean, I embrace like all technologies, but bringing back keyboards is my big thing. I'm always pushing it, and that's a really awesome like synth song. I mean, or song that used a lot of synthesizers at the time. And it's cool to see you take a new take at it with the new type of technology that's out here and a new style. And yeah, I actually have the ability I could play some of these songs, but I'm not sure with your licensing if you were allowed to play them. But I could actually play "Lay It On Me" or "Self Control" if you wanted me to.
Oh, I mean, I would love to hear what you have, you know, what you can come up with. I would love that actually.
Oh. Well, I get that. I'm saying that, yeah, I could actually get into that in that way, but on this program, I could actually include it right now if you wanted me to play one of those songs. But yeah, as a musician, I could take a take on it. But yeah, I was just wondering, would you want people to hear that as part of this broadcast? Because I could play your track, Lay It On Me, or I could play Self Control as part of this show right now if you wanted.
Oh, absolutely. Go
Yeah.
right ahead.
Yeah,
Smoke
yeah.
right
Just
me a good time.
like, and I do. You just want to maybe stay away from the mic and then come back when you hear me ask for you to come back. All right. So we're gonna play the first song we talked about, "Lay It On Me." I'm gonna play that first, and then we can talk about it more after I play it. All right. Here I go. Oh, sorry. Self control. City light, painted girl. In the day, nothing matters. It's the night, time of fires. In the night, no control. Through the world, something's breaking. We're in one, as you wander down the street of my soul. You take myself, you take my self-control. You got me living only for the night. Before the morning comes the story's told. You take myself, you take my self-control. Another night, another day goes by. I never stop myself to wonder why. You help me to forget to play my role. You take myself, you take my self-control. I live among the creatures of the night. I haven't got the will to try and fight against a new tomorrow, so I guess I'll just believe that tomorrow never comes. Instead, now I'm living in a moment of a dream. I know the night is not as it would seem. I must believe in something, so I'll make myself believe that this night will never go. Well, the night is my world. City light, painted girl. In the day, nothing matters. It's the night, time of fires. I live among the creatures of the night. I haven't got the will to try and fight against a new tomorrow, so I guess I'll just believe it, that tomorrow never comes. I'm safe now. I'm living in a moment of a dream. I know the night is long as it will seem. I must believe in something, so I'll make myself believe that this night will never go. You take myself, you take my self-control. 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 So sorry, that was your actual self-control song. I had it queued up ahead of the other one. but yeah, but it's I like the drum percussion on it, which is different than the original. but you still have the it's a really awesome cover, and you still feel like what the Laura Branigan song was. You still feel it, but you just have a more modern take on it. But yeah, it's very
Yeah.
familiar because you can still hear the core song. It's just that you change the beat and you put different emphasis on different instruments. But yeah, I like it. I think it's really good.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just really cool because that's kind of from the time period when people like wrote songs. Because sometimes there are songs today that really, I don't know if they're actually songs; they're more like anthems, and they're more like.
I think anthems is being too generous. I think it's more like jingles, like marketing jingles to market a persona.
Yeah. Yeah. That is actually more clear a description of what's going on today because it's they kind of like I'm in the underground, so I'm in the indie like electronic underground where bands we're what I'd like to do is try to do kind of very old school college radio level stuff where there's a lot of experimentation and it's not trying to be in the top 10 at all. I'm kind of in that zone where I'm living in that place, but I'm living with the guys who still want to play. They want to play guitar, they want to play bass, they want to play drums, they want to play keyboards. They want to actually go out to a club and actually play real instruments. And it's a different scene than the kids coming in with the laptop. And you can be a musician on a laptop. I'm not putting it down, but there's something about playing live instruments that is I'm always going to push that. So yeah, it's really cool to have you take on a song that when people still had songcraft. That's
Yeah.
and it's consistent with what you're doing on your new song. Lay It On Me, because then you have that kind of songcraft going on there, so it's like bookends that one really well too.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. Thanks.
Well, yeah, I'm always out there, kind of like Prince used to say, real music by real musicians, and he used to say that all the time, and he was kind of like alone in that, and sometimes, because the world was changing from the time he was at his heyday, there was less appreciation for the kind of thing he was trying to do compared to what he had done in the 80s. But I think people are really starting to appreciate his legacy. I think people are really feeling it all the time. But yeah, I'm totally that type of guy that's into that level of composition.
As am I. I mean, that's where I feel anyone can really creatively and just all around, that's where they can get the most strength is from writing and from actually crafting your own music and your own message so that you can be on a relatable level. Instead of having this peacock syndrome, I call it like the Kardashian mold, like you're just a persona that everyone likes to look at, but no one can really relate to.
Everybody's trying to out rooster or peacock everybody, It's like it's a little too much bravado and not enough like realness, to it. It's like there's something about the age where you had, people that really believed, and you could feel it. Like if you go back to like a guy like, maybe a lot of times like Bono gets ridiculed today. But Bono, when U2 first came out, he was a real core believer in what he was doing. And when the first U2 albums came out, they didn't even really know how to play yet. They were still like very young, learning how to play, and Edge created his own style because they believed in what they were doing. And you can kind of feel the passion in what U2 does. If you go back and look at them, the reason they were able to kind of go where they went is they're very passionate about what they were doing. They believe in it. And I think that's a real core thing. It's like, I don't know what some of these new artists would believe in.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what
yeah, it's sort of like they believe in short-sighted and like in like a short-sighted way, but at the same time, I mean, like, art reflects society, but like I don't know where society's going, so how can
because I think if
we
people have
gauge
lost a
where
belief,
art is
like
really taking
in like
us?
the concept of trying to be honest, like artists trying to show their something. To me, like a song, you're trying to say something other than just your own self, self gratification. Um, if you're trying to say a message, you're trying to talk about some social issue. Even if you're kind of introspective, but what you're introspective about is universal. So if you think about Carole King, she was able to talk a lot about things going on in her life, but she created songs that were very universal, that everybody could feel that. And a songwriter, if they talk about their own pain, they can actually make it relatable. So even though it's personal, it actually, they're showing something of themselves, and then everybody can find something that's similar that's happened to them. And I think that is a really good, example of songcraft that can be. We're looking for people like that. Where's the next Carole King? Where's the next Karen Carpenter? That's you're going in that direction of songcraft, but a lot of people aren't. So that's really cool that you understand that, and you're in that space to develop as a songwriter. To say something. To want to have a message.
Yeah. Ultimately.
Oh, did I lose you? You still there? I think I lost you a little bit.
No, I said like it needs to be brought back to a place of headspace instead
Definitely.
of ego
I
space.
think that's what's lacking in a lot of music. I find sometimes in the indie world, there are people that are really putting their heart and soul into it because they do music because they love music. Not that they necessarily, not that you don't want to make a profit, but some people are just driven because they have a voice and they want to go out there and they keep on plugging away at it, and eventually their audience finds them and they start building up a rep. And there are artists doing that, and that's what I do on the show. I try to find a lot of different indie artists that I think need attention, because they just need people to hear them. And I just feel like I'm a songwriter, but I'm a fan of music, and I like to give bands an opportunity to do this, where a lot of places don't do this anymore, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm glad you came on the show.
Well, I'm happy to be
Yeah,
here.
it's really cool that I was able to get you again. And it's really nice to be able to directly communicate with an artist, and of your caliber, because you're really moving. And I appreciate that you were able to to come on the show, and we're able to play your latest track. We could actually play "Lay It On Me" if you want. I'm just trying to cue it up. Do you want me to play that, and then we can talk about it more? Or do you? Okay,
Sure.
cool. Yeah, let me get to it. I just want to make sure I get on it. Okay, I got it queued up, and just hold a second. Let's get it set up, and then we're gonna play Kendra Erika's latest song, "Lay It On Me." We had just talked about it, and now we're gonna play it if I can get myself set up correctly.
When it's getting deep, keep it raw and leave the seeds, and truth kills. Don't forget that time is healing. Focus, kaleidoscope of future meaning. I'm not afraid to see what's coming through me. I can only be just one. No time left to waste. Light and dark in everyone, written on their face. But I'm not the type to just back down. My voice ain't gonna be background. Just you wait and see what I create. pressure, underwater silence. It's the best prescription for the thick and for the just like that. It rushes back, and after all the noise, I'm still around. I can only be just one, no time left to waste. Light and dark in everyone, written on their face. But I'm not the type to just back down. My voice ain't gonna be background. Just you wait and see what I create. Lay it on me. I know you tried with all your beautiful eyes. I can only be just one, no time left to waste. Light and dark in everyone, written on their face. But I'm not the type to just back down. My voice ain't gonna be background. Just you wait and see what I create.
So that is Kendra Erika and Lay It On Me. It's an original composition. I really like the synthesizers and the beat.
Yeah, they're cool. I was just listening it. I was just listening to it as you were playing it, and I'm just like, whenever I hear it, there's always like something new in there.
There's a lot of good
It's
layering
like,
of a lot of keyboard parts, and I like the vocoder. There's some like vocoder, like alteration of voicing in there. It's a really cool drop, like an EDM like drop, but it's a song. So you've got some EDM electronica aspects of the song molded into like a pop song. It's taking like electronica EDM techniques into it, and I like that. It's pretty cool.
oh well, yay! I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, I'm a
Thank
keyboard
you.
head. I got all my synths in front of me all the time. So when I hear that kind of layering in the level of stuff that's going on there, I always appreciate it. You know, because I'm always like, okay, well, I hear something there that's really interesting. So yeah, it's cool to hear. Like I'm a big proponent of of synthesizers and how they can be used in songs and how they can be kind of lead instruments. And this song kind of demonstrates how synthesizers can kind of be in the lead rather than a background kind of accompaniment way that they were used at sometimes. It's cool to actually see them being in the forefront. So that's cool.
Well, I just love your insight, because you definitely have that acoustic mindset, and that's just really important.
Well, you've got a really awesome song here. Both of your new songs are really top notch, and I'm glad that we're able to put them out there for people to hear. Because it's cool to talk about a song, but it's hard to talk about without actually hearing it. And then when you hear it, then you actually have a good reference to what you've been discussing. So we try to do that when we can on the show. So yeah, I'm glad that you let me do that, and I think it will help people understand what we were talking about. And yeah, there's something about songwriting when it's done to actually serve the song instead of the persona, which is what we've been talking about. Like when you write a song, it serves the song itself and not trying to serve some other purpose, that's more marketing than actually
Yeah,
You-
like a
yeah,
hidden
instead of
agenda,
like
you know?
music, like get back to the music.
Yeah. Get back to the music. Yourself can
Yeah,
wait. You
yeah.
know
The
what I
other
mean?
stuff is maybe good to get a lot of
Yeah.
hits on the social media, and that's kind of like the game today is to create controversy and create
To create
yeah, to
a
create the
hype.
hype. And you've been hype men going back to the Beatles. I mean, everybody there was always hype in music. But at the end of the day, it's really the music. It always goes back to
It
yeah,
really
to the
comes
singer
down to that.
songwriters. It's always going to come back to singer songwriters, no matter what the trends are. Singer songwriters are always going to capture people's hearts, and that's what really music is about, in my opinion. Is like,
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more on that. I mean, it's something. It's been a long time coming, and I really want to bring it back to a like an authentic
you're
place.
definitely you're more than on that road. You're doing a lot of good work, and you can see that. So I'm real happy that we were able to talk again. I just want to give a little bit of information. This show now is fan supported, so people can subscribe to our show to help us interview artists around the world, and you can contribute however you want to. It's on the Anchor app itself when you listen to us on Anchor, and that just helps us be able to interview as many people as possible. We don't charge anybody for being interviewed. We just allow the fans, if they like what they hear, they can subscribe to us and support us if they choose to support us on a monthly basis. So we just wanted to put that out there. But either way, if you don't, we're still out there. But if you want to, it would be helpful.
Well, thank you so much. I really
Yeah, no
appreciated
problem.
that.
But we're going to publish this tonight, and it will go out. Just for everybody to know, this podcast will go out as a podcast onto Apple, Spotify, Radio Public, and a bunch, maybe 6 or 7 other big services. And so it will be out there, and we'll send you the links. There are embed links that you can put onto your social media that you want to use. You can, refer people to the Spotify or Apple version or the Anchor version.
Beautiful. I can't wait to share it and to share our very profound conversation.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking to you again. When you have any other projects, so just let me know, and we stay in touch. On social media. So I'm always looking at what you're doing out there, and I thank you for coming on the show. And everybody should go out there and listen to "Lay It On Me," listen to "Self Control," and listen to all the other great songs that Kendra Erika has put out there on all the services. Favorite her music. Subscribe to her, let her know that you like it. And, I think that's every artist wants you to do that. And, just support the artist that you love by letting people know that you like a song, favorite the song, tell other people about it. That's how you help an artist, keep on going. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And just we'll stay in touch. And yeah. So thank you.
Okay. Well, have a great night.
You
Bye.
as well.
This is Fam Electric Ghost, and this is our continuing series of song deconstructions. We're talking about the song Wounded Room, A House Is Not a Home. This is a collaboration that I did with Metaflow. You can see her on Instagram. She's a film director. And we were working on a project. She had a script called Wounded Room. And I reviewed it, and I really thought that the script would work as a song. So I decided to take the script that was really meant for a short film and turn it into a song. And I made multiple versions of this song. But this particular version of House Is Not a Home, I really like because I've been recently rediscovering the kind of neo-punk band Joy Division. And I was very enamored with their guitar playing and their style, which kind of is kind of pre-goth, pre-Nirvana, pre-Pearl Jam, pre all the grunge movement, but it has a lot of elements of an industrial kind of Nine Inch Nails sound. And there are other bands that, you know, that took their sound, like Joy Division. You know, in today's world, we get Car Seat Headrest has taken some of their style and used it in some of their albums. And any kind of proto-punk band, any kind of band doing any kind of modern punk can kind of feel Joy Division a lot. And I decided to kind of put that kind of feel to this song. But I use synths to do that. I don't play guitar, but I'm able to use my Rolands to create that guitar sound. And the drum beat is coming from the really awesome analog drum machine, the Drummer from Another Mother from Moog. And I use this drum machine a lot. And it does have limitations. It's only an 8-step machine. You can't save patches. Like I said, it's only 8 steps. So you have to be inventive to use it to, do more than 8 steps. You have to keep on, changing the dials on it, or you need to buy multiple DFAMs and stack them and then use them to kind of create alternative patterns. But I find that if you just take a DFAM and play the filters like you can on any Moog, play with the actual controls on the synth itself, you can get a lot of alternating patterns just by doing that. You can trigger some alternating patterns by linking it through CV to other devices and then using the triggers to do that as well. And it is a very awesome synth, and it doesn't just do bass, drum or bass tones. It can do a lot of cool things. I found it to be a very useful tool. On top of that, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. I got a cold, but there's some other things I've done in this song where I've used the Math utility module for Make Noise to affect the sounds. I'm using a studio electronics microphone, going through an MX1 mixer, using some effects there. I'm using also the vocal transformer from Roland to create the Josephine electric voice, and there's a lot of things you can do with that. It's just the tendency I have is to kind of do everything in this hardware workflow where I have a lot of choices, a lot of controls in front of me, a lot of knob per function type of controls that allow you to have, a lot of control, a lot of choices to make in terms of what the sound is going to be like. So you're like a painter. Like I like what Hendrix said about this. I've said this before, but he talked about Electric Ladyland it being a sound painting, and a lot of what the Ghost does, we do a lot of sound paintings. We take a lot of the tools we have, the knob per function synths that we have, and use those dials and controls to be like palettes that an artist would do with a painting. And we call it sonic painting because we're able to create a landscape of sound that has that depth. And we try to play with our synths to create these visions. And what's cool with this song is we worked with a film director that we took a script, and so it's very cinematic in terms of what the content is. You can kind of picture the scene, which we've always wanted to be able to do as lyricists ourselves, but we think Better Flow did a really awesome job with that. And we found that was a real core part of this collaboration. We've done collaborations with a lot of artists recently, in the last 2 years. We collaborated with Lonnie Claire in New York City, All Control K in Los Angeles, DJ Squash Kid. We're hoping to do some stuff with some work with Heritage out of Bermuda. And we're also looking to work with some other folks that we've talked to on Spearman and we've talked to on Anchor. Just doing some housekeeping. We are now fan supported. So you can choose to support us at $1, $4.99 or $9.99 or $9.99, and that would get you exclusive WAV and MP3 files from the Ghost that we would send to you if you provide us information on how to send it to you. And we also will give you information on when we're going to play shows. Most of the time it would be in the Northeast. And when we do shows on Facebook Live, which you'll be able to see anytime, and releases that we put out on all the streaming services. And anybody that subscribes will be able to get songs that we put on streaming services. If you're not on the service, we'll give you the direct download link or a direct WAV or MP3 file. We are going to use these funds to continue our conversation with indie artists around the world, which we do every month, 2 to 3 interviews with bands from all around the world. We just interviewed Kendra Erika, a top 10 Billboard star, this week, and we're looking forward to doing an interview with Christina Passion in October. And we continue to do interviews with multiple types of art, all kinds of artists in multiple genres. And we're also looking into doing product reviews. We're very interested in getting a Therovox, which is a really awesome new synth that's based on an old French design. It is not a typical synth. It has a lot to do with more of a string instrument. It actually has a string that goes across the length of a keyboard that's not a functioning keyboard. It has the indentations in metal of what would be a keyboard, but there's this string that there's a finger controller that you put your finger through this control that goes across the length of the string, and that's how you actually control the notes on this thing, and the pedals as well, and other pressure sensitive devices. It seems to act like a pedal steel synthesizer is the best way I can describe it. And it creates, Pink Floyd and blues like soloing, which, being the kind of synthesist I am, I'm always looking for guitar focused synths, and this would be another guitar type of synth that would give me capabilities in my workflow, which I think would be really cool to have, because it's part of what the Ghost has always done is try to bring guitar sounds, kind of a frustrated guitar player, into our music. And this device would be really interesting. So I reached out to the manufacturer and trying to see if I can get them to give me one for review purposes, and to also put into a song, that I would develop a song and then put it out, and that would be really cool. So we'll send this their way again, that we're very interested in doing that. And Wounded Room, has some really interesting guitar solos that I did on my Juno GI. I have been, a big proponent of trying to put synths out in the front rather than being accompaniment kind of background instruments. And this song is kind of an example of that technique. And I think the lyrics, being very cinematic, go with the idea of the sound painting. And it's just the overall concept of expansive sound experiments is to try to go as deep as we can in crossing genres and doing all types of things with music that push it forward as much as we can. And so that's what we try to do. And we try to talk to artists around the world and see what they're doing. And that helps us as an artist ourselves, because the more we talk to other artists, even though we're in our internet, the womb here, and we're all isolated, but when we reach out and we actually talk to artists and we get the understanding of where they're coming from, kind of like what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about my process just as, the Ghost. But when I talk to another artist, I get to bring that process to everybody else. I get to reveal, what they do in their music. A lot of people interview artists and they ask them about their personal life. We never do that. We don't get into that. If they want to talk about how that affects their art, we talk about that. But we don't get into who their significant others are, or any controversies or anything they're talking about that would be a typical social media kind of interview. We want to talk about the music. That's what we're about. We're all about the music. And if you want to listen to an interview where you get to find out how an artist does what they do and how they create, that's what we're about. So we're really hoping that you want to join us and help us out. Check out the link to support us. If you want to join this this whole movement and be a co-host on the show, send us a voice